welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here, and you are very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down. I swear to God that Brie Larson must down a bottle of vodka and a bottle of Jack Daniels before she makes any public appearance. This can be the only justification for some of the nonsense she comes out when she appears publicly. If I was Disney, I would be scared of her even opening her mouth. But they don't seem very scared. They seem to be very, very supportive of her, as Netflix are. But we'll get to Netflix in a moment, because I have a separate axe to grind with Netflix, and I'll read a thread they posted on Twitter a little bit later. But let's carry on with Dear Brie. Brie Larson said to us quite a few months ago she doesn't care what a bunch of white critics think of A Wrinkle in Time. The only people that she cares of the opinions of this film are people of colour and young girls. Brie, come here, girl. Let me tell you what people of colour and young girls think of A Wrinkle in Time. Nothing. It's a nothing movie. It's an empty shell. It's a film with lots of representation, which is great, but when SJWs make films with representation in it, they think that's all they need to do. They don't want to create and, carve out interesting characters in an interesting story. So A Wrinkle in Time ends up being a nothing film nobody cares about. Barely anybody came out to see the film. It didn't affect anyone. People may say it's an okay film, but that's not the idea, is it? It's not the idea to make an okay film. A Wrinkle in Time will not be remembered for anything else than being an average, boring film that did nothing but represent. So it represented people of colour. Great, well done. Do you want people of colour to get on their bended knees and kiss the director's feet because she happened to represent them? We're talking about films here. We're talking about entertainment here, Brie. It doesn't matter what gender we are. It doesn't matter what colour we are. These films are meant for everyone. You may think they're not meant for people in their 40s, but they're meant for everyone. That's how these films make money. She speaks about an expanding industry. Is it an expanding industry, Brie? What do you mean? Oh, she means because more females are directing films, writing films, and acting in films, and leading in films. So she thinks this is what an expanding industry is about. You know what, Brie? You know what an expanding industry should be about? A variety of films about different things. All we get now are films about comic books. Don't get me wrong. I'm a geek, I'm a nerd, I love my superheroes. Look behind me, love them. Superman is my man. Do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, right, what you've got to understand is that all these things that this woman is saying are insane. So the other day, she was doing an interview, part of the press tour of Endgame, and she was speaking about doing her own stunts, which later was proved by a couple of YouTubers to be wrong. In fact, it was proven to be a lie with the on-set pics that these YouTubers showed. Embarrassing, right? So Chris Hemsworth's with her in this interview, and he goes, "Oh, you're trying to be the next Tom Cruise." Excuse me, I'm being myself, not Tom Cruise. So she snaps at Chris Hemsworth. And then the other guy who plays Tony Stark's friend, I forgot his name in the film, he's quite a good actor, I really like him actually, but he goes, "We're passing the torch to Brie. Let's hope Brie doesn't mess it up." And she goes, "Do you feel that?" So the interviewer goes, "Do you feel the pressure, Brie?" And she goes, "Well, I didn't, but I do now." And I think when you see like the claim that she made that she did her own stunts and her saying I just assume this is what everybody did. No, you didn't, Brie, because barely any actors do their own stunts. Everyone says they do their own stunts, but actually they don't. They might jump from here to there. And I mean, if that's what you want to call doing your own stunts, that's entirely up to you. This woman has become a calamity, an embarrassment. Nobody in the industry actually wants to work with her. We've seen it. We haven't seen any interviews, any marketing for Endgame where Scarlett Johansson and Brie Larson are sitting down together doing their own thing. It is absolutely hilarious and funny that you had Scarlett Johansson the other day talking when she was with Paul Rudd about how there was too much testosterone in the MCU, and she's happy that Brie and the other actresses have come on. Hey, great. But if you're all for it, Scarlett, right, why haven't you been in the same room with Brie? Because you don't like her, do you? None of you like her, do you? I mean, it's just to see Chris Hemsworth sitting with her. It's obvious this guy cannot stand this woman, but he's not alone, because women in the industry can't stand this woman. Nobody can stand this woman. The only people saying anything possible about this woman are the people who don't know them, and that's the press, and that's the media, because that's what the media do. They jump on bandwagons. They defend the indefensible, and she is the indefensible. So you've got this woman saying these crazy, insane things, causing a storm. This is not about Captain Marvel making $1 billion globally. That doesn't matter, because Disney have Disney have a reputation to uphold, and right now she's not upholding that reputation. Now, we don't know what happens to her character in Endgame, and that's going to be very, very interesting, because there's even a few people out there who think her character may be killed off. Of course, that sounds improbable, doesn't it? But who knows what's going to happen? Would they sack her so soon? Well, if they're embarrassed by her, and she is an embarrassment. So we have to look at Brie Larson. Brie Larson's parents have been trying to make her famous all her life, ever since she was like a 10-year-old kid. She even did some pop videos and things like that. She's famous now. She's an Oscar winner. But she doesn't hold herself very well. I have never seen a celebrity in my life just have no standards, to be honest with you. And the stuff she says are things like you should think and never say. So you've got this woman who's clearly a spoilt brat, and everyone around her goes, yes, Brie, yes, Brie. I remember an episode of Smallville when this girl was obsessed with Clark Kent, and her name was Alicia, so Clark goes to see the parents. And he's going, this isn't right, I can't be with this girl. And they go, no, Clark, you just do what Alicia says, and everything will be okay. I can imagine Brie's parents being like that when Bob Iger goes to visit them. Look, Bob, don't rock the boat. I know she's embarrassing you, but if we all do what Brie wants, everything will be okay. She's a spoiled brat who has never had anyone disagree with her. She lives in a bubble. She thinks it doesn't matter what I say. I'm Brie Larson. I'm Captain Marvel. But she's finding the terrain very difficult to drive. And it's only going to get tougher and tougher, because I'm a nobody talking about her compared to some of the things people are saying about her, prominent YouTubers with hundreds of thousands of followers and subscribers. And they're really going for her. And they keep on proving her either to be a liar or a fraud. And it's really embarrassing. So she's just written and directed and starred in, or directed, I'm not sure she wrote it, this kind of movie on Netflix. So Netflix are defending her. They've even trolled a fan on one of their kind of comment section on Twitter because he went at her. So I'm going to read a thread from Netflix which has nothing to do with Brie Larson, but has everything to do with Brie Larson being involved with them now. So let's read this. As I say, this is not related to Brie Larson, but I want your take on this. You probably know about this already. Quick PSA, and by the way, this isn't a quick PSA. Can we stop calling films chick flicks unless the films are literally about small baby chickens? Oh. Here's why this phrase should absolutely be retired. Fred. For starters, chick flicks are traditionally synonymous with romantic comedies This suggests that women are the only people interested in 1, romance, 2, comedy, which I can promise from men I've come across in my life simply isn't true. You are wrong. You are wrong on so many levels, because romantic films are predominantly made for women, are predominantly made to be watched by women. They're the ones who are attracted to these films. Now, romantic films that are comedies, you do get a few guys watching them, but mostly it is women who watch them. In fact, after reading this thread, I went out there and I asked a few people, and they agreed with me. And most of the people I spoke to were actually women. The thread continues. Right, where are we? Right, there aren't sweeping categories specific to men. You don't hear people asking to watch man movies. Well, actually, action movies are synonymous with men, but never mind. Instead, pretty much every intersection of genre is on the table and seen as for men, except, of course, the aforementioned rom-coms. The term also cheapens the work that goes into making these types of films. Romantic comedies and or films centered around female leads go through just as much editing, consideration and rewriting as any other film. So, they're still made for women. Women predominantly watch them, right? This person goes on. This is you can find this. This is the official Netflix film verified account. So, and nicknaming films chick flicks drives home that there's something trivial about watching them. But what's trivial about watching a film that makes you feel 1,000 emotions in 90 minutes? Oh, God. Overall, there's nothing inherently gendered about liking a light-hearted film with a strong female lead and an emotional arc. So next time you can call something a chick flick, you better be referring to Chicken Run. When I first read this, right, I thought it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe that a multi-trillion-dollar company such as Netflix got someone to come onto Twitter on their verified account to speak so passionately about something so trivial. The fact is, Netflix, chick flicks are always going to be called chick flicks, and trying to intimidate us into not calling them chick flicks is never ever going to work, because romantic comedies are mostly watched by women. We barely get any romantic comedies now because there's not much variety out there anymore. But at the end of the day, they're called chick flicks for a reason. And in fact, even women see them as chick flicks. Even tomboys who are girls, right? They call them chick flicks as well. How embarrassing, right? How embarrassing, right? Right now, in third world countries, there are women being mutilated, raped, and abused. Now, if Netflix did a thread about these women, right? I've got to get my background back. Where's my background? Right. There you go. Sorry about that. So, right, if Netflix did a passionate thread about women in third world countries, little girls being mutilated, raped, I'll be going, oh, I love this company. But when you read a thread about something as trivial as calling a set of films chick flicks, right, then you have to question this trillion-dollar company. You have to question them and say, what kind of drugs are you snorting, Netflix? Because can I have some? It was the most ridiculous thread. And if this was kind of a faceless person on Twitter, I get it, I'd laugh it off. But this is Netflix we're talking about. And this is the biggest issue they're worried about. Embarrassing. Be embarrassed. Be embarrassed. So what has Netflix got to do with Brie Larson? Well, that thread is one in the same, like the kind of nonsense that Brie spouts. And she's going to carry on spouting this crap. And it's a kind of situation where I just hold my head in my hand and think, where are we today in this industry where a multi-million-dollar company as Netflix comes out and speaks utter nonsense about a subject nobody cares about. Then you've got Brie Larson, a prominent, famous actress who's obviously been forced to the top because her mummy and daddy know some very important people, right? Not because she should be there. And we go back to the Captain Marvel thing. Captain Marvel is a character that's not very popular in Marvel Comics. It's a character that's been rebooted many times because no one's really interested in her. And then we get Brie Larson, this person who goes out there talking absolute crap. And we have got an almighty mess on our hands because the MCU was a place where we're all happy to be and excited about. But then we watch Captain Marvel where there's some jerk telling her about why it's called a cockpit. Did she write that? In fact, did she write that Netflix thread? It wouldn't surprise me. That sounds very much like Brie. Anyway, to close this off, everyone, Brie Larson is just an embarrassment to anyone who comes into contact with her. And let me be clear here. The industry, the people who work with her within the industry cannot stand this person. They despise her more than we do. And while you're about to type down below and defend her, I want you to think about that very fact.